אשרי האיש אשר לא הלך בעצת רשעים ובדרך חטאים לא עמד ובמושב לצים לא ישב כי אם בתורת אדוני חפצו ובתורתו יאהב יומם ולילה ויקהל שתולה לפלגי מים אשר פריו ייתן ביתו ועליו לא ייפול וכל אשר יעשה יצליח לכן הרשעים כי הם כמוץ אשר תדפנו רוח על כן לא יקומו רשעים במשפט וחטאים בעדת צדיקים כי יודע אדוני דרך צדיקים ודרך רשעים תאבד.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני מי יגור ביעלך, מי ישכון בהר קדשך, הולך תמים ופועל צדק, ודובר אמת בלבבו. לא רגל על לשונו, לא עשה לרעהו רעה, וחרפה לא נשא על קרובו. נבזה בעיניו נמאס, ואת ירא אדוני יכבד, נשבע להרע ולא ימיר. Do we deserve to enter God's sanctuary? Do we merit a place in the presence of God? Then live with integrity, do what is right, speak the truth without deceit, have no slander upon your tongue, do no evil to others, do not mistreat your neighbor. Make these deeds your own, then shall you stand firm forever. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai roi lo echsar bino deshiar bitzeni, al me menuchot yinahaleni, nafshi yeshovev, yancheni v'magle tzedek laman shemo. Gam ki elech begates al mavet, lo ira ra, ki ata imadi, shiftacha umishantecha, hema yinachamuni. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod, they comfort me. You set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. You know, when you want to say that someone is just really nice and really kind and a really helpful person, you know what you say. You say, he's a Boy Scout. That's just what you say. And Shelley really was a Boy Scout. He was involved in the Boy Scout movement. He became commissioner. He was supervising local troops. He loved the Boy Scouts, younger as a boy, and then that loyalty continued. But not only was he involved officially, he was in his behavior in many ways a Boy Scout, a helpful person, a likable person, a modest person, a kind person. Marilyn, you said these are some of the reasons you fell in love with him. Just a wonderful man who opened car doors for you, who was polite, who was easygoing, who fit in well with other people, didn't make a lot of drama. He loved your family, he loved your kids, and all of your friends, and frankly everybody just knew that he was a very likable man. What was not to like? He was easy to talk to. He did not look to take advantage. He didn't look to be hard as an individual. He was a gentleman. Bluey, you and your younger brother grew up 3 years apart. You grew up looking out for him. You and he always had a relationship where he knew that you wanted the best for him. As boys, you two both endured a trauma when your mother died. It was a jarring, tragic change into your life, into your brother's life. And who knows, maybe Shelley internalized some of that grief because he was a quiet person. Ultimately, your father remarried, and you know that your dad at the same time tried to be responsive and supportive to Shelley during that time. Your dad remarried your mom's sister. Ultimately, they both passed away some years later, and so Shelley moved in with you for a period of time. Shelley ultimately got married to Doris, who became his wife for 15 years until her passing. It was a lovely marriage. They were close, and it was an important period in his life, but then she passed. So there was this very soft and gentle person who had now lived through the death of his mother and his father and his stepmother and his wife. And yet remained that all of you said he was a man who was very optimistic. You all said he was an optimistic individual. How does someone remain optimistic in the face of such events? He obviously was a man who had resilience and a man who had the ability in his own modest way to move forward, but he also always had a few people who really cared for him and looked out for him. He served in Guam in the armed forces. He went to college and law school, developed a law practice. Solo practitioner, he did all kinds of law. He had space in your office, Bluey, and had a viable practice. And then, Marilyn, you came into his life, and you two enjoyed life together for these 23 years, 20 years of marriage. You loved the fact that relationships were important to him. He loved being with your family. He loved being with your kids and with the grandkids. He became close to them. And he was a wise and a stable presence in their lives. And you brought him out too. You brought some of his personality out more than it had been before. Your family knew him as someone who liked sports and liked Turner Classic Movies, biking and swimming, and of course the synagogue. He was active in the men's club. He liked going to services. He clearly enjoyed the company of other people, whether it was your family or the men's club at Park or the participants in the Boy Scout programs. I know he enjoyed a little teasing, like his habit of taking the opposite stance in a discussion just to get a rise out of the other guy. And that other guy was usually Stuart, as I remember. He loved to travel, but he also loved just being at home as well. And you and he, Marilyn, enjoyed and relished really some very special moments covering all of these years. Even in recent years, the Boy Scout in him continued to come out. He looked to be helpful at the condo. He served on the council at the condominium. I know that this illness was strong, but he worked with it for a long time. He never complained. He never wanted to be anything else but a gentleman, a nice, kind friend and mensch. And his mind remained sharp throughout till the very end. His home life, as we heard, was unfortunately disrupted several times in his life. Ultimately, though, he grew to enjoy a very stable home life with you, and it was important to him to have that. He was able to appreciate what he had and bring joy to others by simply being their friend. So I must admit, I looked at the Boy Scout code this morning. I wanted to look at it again because it was so important to him. I know he always loved it. And I looked at adjectives that would be him: trustworthy and loyal, helpful and friendly, courteous and kind, cheerful, reverent. And that's how he lived his life. He lived with a good name, and he died with a good name. I know that Max and Sam are going to come up and say a few words. Come on up.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I am Max Smiley. I am Shelley's grandson. I just wanted to say a couple things about the memories that I had with him. Some of the things that he took us on, like the things he would enjoy with us. The main thing that I remember was when we were 11 years old and we came up here for 3 weeks. And every single day almost, he took us to the Beechwood pool. He loved swimming, he loved biking, And so my brother and I would go into the whirlpool or the slides, and he'd be swimming his laps every day. That's the one thing I remember completely, very vividly. He got us a membership there, so we had our own little cards, scan our little cards in and walk in and get swimming. Another thing I remember was the Indian games that he'd take us to. He bought us tickets to go to, I think it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, more than that. Went to an Indians game, and he bought us the tickets to the fireworks show. And we stayed after the game and watched that. That was something I really remember and really enjoyed a lot. He was a great role model. He was quiet, but he was a great role model. And if you were to sit down and talk to him alone in a room, you would really get to know him. And, you know, he was someone that would always try to pass on wisdom. The last memory that I have of him would be back in March. I think it's the greatest memory I can possibly have of him. It was our last night here in Cleveland before we left to go back to San Diego where we live. And we celebrated Passover with him. That's what he wanted to do. So we did what he wanted to do that night. And we celebrated Passover, and it was probably the greatest night we probably could have had with him. You know, it was nice and calm. Just my mother, my father, and my brother and I, and my grandmother. And that's the best memory because, you know, we got to sit down and talk, all of us. Sit down, spend one last Passover together. We didn't know how long he was going to live after that. And honestly, he lived longer than I thought. I thought it was going to be coming up quicker. And it did come up quick, and unfortunately, you know, ended how we didn't want it to end. He showed unconditional love for my grandmother. I know that. He made her happy. You know, he was a gentleman, as the rabbi said, open car doors. I've never quite heard my grandmother talk about someone like she's talked about him. You know, so much compassion and love. He never complained. That's one thing. He never complained. I could remember going on walks in the village in La Jolla, and you can tell he was struggling a little bit. You know, his knee and his back. My grandmother would say, "Sit down. You know, we can take a break." He'd say, "No, let's keep going." And you can tell it was bothering him. He was in a little bit of pain, but he never complained. He always wanted to make everybody else happy, and he always wanted to be better for everybody else. You know, that's all I have to say. I'm going to miss him very much, and you know, he went out being probably the greatest man, one of the greatest people in my life.
Hello, I'm Max's twin brother, Sam. Papa was, in my opinion, one of the smartest people I've ever met or had the ability to talk to. One of the reasons he was so smart was he wasn't the type of guy who would speak often and try to show off his intelligence and be all showboaty. He was very reserved. He didn't speak a lot. But when he did, he would always bring knowledge to the table. I remember 3 years ago, we came here over the summer, and I was taking photos. And I had no idea he knew so much about taking photos. And I handed him my camera, and he showed me all these cool techniques that no idea he even knew. And he was so intelligent in everything he did. It's something I really liked. He really loved SNL a lot, especially the political SNLs. So all he'd ever do is say, "Sam, did you see the new SNL?" I said, "No, I haven't seen it." And he'd pull out his big iPad and he'd pull it out on the table, and we'd watch the full 10-minute clip. He wouldn't say a word. He'd just show it to me, and then we'd talk about it afterwards. And those are some of the fondest memories I had of him. I'm gonna miss you, Papa.
Let's rise, everyone, for the memorial prayer.
Male rachamim, shochayim hamramim, hametzay menachanechonam, tachat kanafei ashkinam, b'mahalot kedoshim udhorim, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמת שלדון גרינברג שהלך לעולמו בגן עדן תחי מנוחתו. אנא בעל הרחמים, אז תראיהו בסתר כנפיך לעולמים, ותצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתו. אדוני הוא נחלתו, וינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר Amen.
May we all remember the kind and good deeds he performed while in the land of the living. We ask that he find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May his soul be bound up in the bonds of eternal life, and may he rest in peace. And we all say Amen.
Amen.
Let's be seated. We want to offer our condolences to the family, to Marilyn, to Bluey and Kitty, to Scott and Susanna, Stuart, Lori, and grandchildren Max and Sam. The family will be receiving friends at the residence, 25820 Fairmont Boulevard in Beechwood. Again, 25820 Fairmont Boulevard in Beechwood today, Tuesday, and then Wednesday, 1 to 4 p.m. and 7 to 9 p.m. That's tomorrow. Today until 8 p.m., and then tomorrow, Wednesday, 1 to 4 p.m. and 7 to 9 p.m. Please remain in your seats a few more moments while we arrange the processional to the burial spot. Pallbearers should now come forward.